Welcome to Running Unicorns, sports talk that goes beyond stats and stadiums. I'm your host, Kristina Southern Townsend. Each episode, we take one word and run with it, exploring how sport connects us, shapes us, divides us, and ultimately unites us. Welcome to the club. Come, run with us. Welcome back to Running Unicorns. I'm Kristina, your host, with Erika Coleman today. Welcome, Erika.
Hello, I'm happy to be here.
Hey, well, we are really lucky today. We're in for a treat. Erika and I have known each other for a long time and reconnecting over Running Unicorns. And so before we get into how we first met, Erika, will you tell us where you are today and what you're up to?
Yeah, I'm joining from the greater Salt Lake City area out in those beautiful Rocky Mountains.
That's right.
And I am a speaker consultant, and I like to say recovering overachiever. Like to teach people how we can find balance between stress and success.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Erika. Well, we're going to get into that more. And one of the fun things that I want to share, and we'll also explore a little bit more, is Erika and I have known each other for a long time. We met in college, actually. And we'll get into that. But before we kick off, my most important question, what's your walk-on song?
My walk-on song. It would probably be Time to Say Goodbye by Andre Bocelli and Sarah Brightman. Just, I like the drama and I want to picture the Bellagio, totally doing fountains behind me. That would probably be the one.
I love it. And if you haven't seen him in concert, it is electric. It is just incredible. So if anyone doesn't know who he is, look him up now. He's amazing. But that song, that could move mountains, man. Speaking of mountains.
Oh, yeah. Big, strong bass. That's what I want. It's a different kind of bass, but it's a big, strong bass.
It carries you, right? It carries
exactly.
you.
Float along.
Well, I love it. And shifting gears with that, what's our word for today? So we talked about this a little pre-chat, but what have you chosen for our conversation?
Champion.
And we will find out why. It's a solid choice. I love it. And Erika, you are a champion. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Well, one of the fun things, so we'll step back into the past and then we'll come back to the future. But Erika and I actually met on a study abroad to Mexico and Guatemala. And it was in the Sierra Madre in Chihuahua, Mexico, with the people mostly known from the book Born to Run. We went before that, just for record, right, Erika? Remember?
We totally would. Like the book came out, we were like, hey, we already knew about this.
That's right. But we were doing a sociology study abroad and studying with the Tarahumara running people in the Sierra Madre. And do you just want to share a reflection on that experience? What stuck out to you?
It was incredible to see a stamina of a people and a culture that was so starkly different than ours. I remember especially how quiet they were and just so focused. They were intent. I thought that was so impressive that they were watching and listening all the time. And it kind of made me sit and go, what am I doing? Reflect on yourself a little bit. But overall, I was just so impressed with their strength.
Mm-hmm. It was such a unique experience. And we had a small, intimate group. It was, how many of us, like about 10 of us. It was not a big group. And we went, for the humanitarian, folks out there who care. Our professors were very respectful. And I felt like good bridge builders. And we were very much known. It was very much articulated how we were guests. And we were having a special opportunity to get to time with these people. But I just remember as we were hiking in, they were flying past us.
And they were so fast. And they were carrying all of our food for us.
Yes, they were helping us pack in. And it was incredible. And they were just so quick and light on their feet with their tire shoes. And it was just incredible. So that needs to be an episode it's on. But just as a nod to the running community and their iconic, legendary status today and who they truly were as a special people. Again, there's more to be discussed there, but that's how Erika and I got to know each other for the very beginning. But catching up to now, so you are a overachiever, burnout expert, recovering overachiever. Tell us about that and how you got to this point, and let us know how you chose the word champion as a result of those experiences.
Love that. How about I start with the word champion? Because I feel like that will give you the best context.
Let's do it.
So there was a time I was asked to describe my mom in one word, and I chose the word champion.
Cool.
And there was lots of reasons. The first off being like literally she was a collegiate national racquetball champion.
Wow.
And I swear if you gave her a ball or a stick or a raffle ticket, she would come home the grand prize winner. Like, we had so many trophies and gold medals at our house that we started, if you came over for birthday parties, we were just like handing them out just to try to declutter because she had so many.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it was really easy to be like, yeah, mom was a champion. But even more so than like a champion of sports, she was a champion of other people. And that was a big part of me understanding my own drive. Because I didn't get her athletic ability. Like, you're not going to get really awesome running insights from me. I have some from my little sister who does marathons, but I'm the one that's like on the side going, yay, you did the marathon.
We need the cheerleaders.
I know. I am a proud, happy cheerleader. Let's do that. So, but I had the drive that my mom had, that drive that helped her win on the court and in the field. I very much applied to school and I applied it to business. And it was cool because my mom championed me in those things as we went. And when I started my own business, for instance, I just remember her being like, oh, you're so awesome. You've got this. I actually set up a business. I built the business I always wished I had.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, I did a virtual training support business, but that was like what we did. My goal with the business was to find a way to help a lot of my friends who were young parents and who wanted to work but couldn't do so full time because they had full-time children. And I was like, I want to find a job where they could work from home. They could go in full send, get paid well enough for the few hours that they're there, and then check out completely and be with their family. And ended up creating this perfect little pocket where we did virtual training support. And it started with my goal of being, I wanted to spend more time with my family. And so I stepped away from full-time employment to start it for a while. And it was a nice side hustle until March 15th of 2020, when I got a phone call. I'll never forget that day.
Oh, man.
Where one of my clients, we'd been supporting like 20% of their business, called and said, we're going all virtual. We have to survive. Can you ramp up 80% in the next 30 days? And I was like,
chills just thinking about that. On a side note.
Right.
Okay,
it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're going all online.
Yep. So that was a crazy few months in COVID where we grew 345% in 5 months.
Wow.
It was bonkers. I was like hitting all my 5-year goals, and it was exciting and wonderful. And I was also getting bone deep tired. Yeah. But I kept going. I kept thinking, okay, that's just how it is. You're an entrepreneur. Welcome. Like, I went more gray and that's okay. I started to embrace it. But in 2022, I got a different phone call, one you never want to get. And it was, your mom's in the hospital. And she had terminal brain cancer and at most had 18 months left to live.
Wow.
And I had always been like, okay, well, as long as you do hard work and you do your best, you'll be fine. So at that point, I was like, the world is opening up. It's 2022. Demand for my services are going to go down no matter what. So I'm like, okay, let's pivot. I put on my grit gloves, or I'm like, all right, we got this. Let's get creative. And so I gave myself 2 goals: save the business and make sure not a single moment with mom is wasted that we have left. And so I leaned in harder every single day. We looked for consultants. We were creative. We were innovative. We were hiring out things. We were doing more trade shows. And with mom, we were thinking of big, awesome memory activities that we could put together with her, and driving her to appointments and trying to make sure her morale stayed high, and just crazy, where we just added more and more and more on. And then just 14 months later, my mom passed away. We buried on the day before Mother's Day.
Wow, Erika.
And 2 months after that, I closed my business. And so I was the first time in my life I've checked off every box that I've ever had on my to-do list. And because of that, I was like, all right, well, now you can sit down and rest. You did everything that you could. Problem is, at that point, I couldn't get back up. Like, physically, I couldn't stand. And I was still being that overachiever. I'm like, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. But then my daughter, who was then 5, came in and had a picture. She was so excited that she had colored. And I was too tired to smile.
Oh my gosh, Erika.
And that's when I knew, not okay. And I had to sit with the fact that I'd lost my champion and my purpose. Mm-hmm. And now I feel broken. What do I do about it? How do I fix that? Mm-hmm. So that right there, why I picked the cause of champion. My mama taught me about it. And 2, it was the first time in my life I had to sit with the fact that I mean, I've never wanted to be an underachiever, so don't ask me to.
Yeah.
And yet I learned the hard way. Overachieving might actually have some bad consequences because it wasn't functional for a long time.
Yeah.
So from there, ironically, because that overachiever at that point still hadn't quite learned the change in my ways, I applied to a master's program at Harvard.
Naturally.
Because that's when you can't get out of bed, that's the obvious next step.
That's from the overachiever textbook is when you are grieving and exhausted.
Where do you go from here?
Yeah,
you sign up business. What's next? The next, obviously, you go to the next step, which was higher education at the best university I could find. So,
see, I think there is a runner in there. I'm just going to put that
a different kind. She's in the brain.
Headed for another one. Anyway, for those who don't think of themselves as runners, this is the similar mentality.
There you go.
You do something miserable and you do it again.
100%. 100%.
Sign up for more.
Because you're like, but there's good in here.
That's where you're going to get is it is rewarding, right?
It was. I was like the first semester really stunk.
Really
stunk. But after that, what was cool is I was like, you know what? I'm still not quite sure what I did wrong because I thought I did, I would tell people I was so proud of everything we'd done in those 14 months.
Yeah.
And yet I still was burnt out. And so I was like, let's use this chance at Harvard to really study stress. Let's study motivation. Yep. Let's study high performance. Let's study well-being. And let's figure out what was it? Where did I go wrong? Yeah. So that, because again, I'm not going to stop reaching for the big things. I'm not. But I need to know how to do it sustainably.
Yeah. We have to learn from those experiences. 100%. I think it's amazing that you took that and you said, I'm going to take this very seriously and I'm going to learn from this and I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something with this.
Because it's an overachiever. There's no other option.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to stop.
Of course not. No. Amazing. So keep going. Yeah.
Oh, so what was cool is the more I studied basically the things I was suffering from, and I was literally getting homework about how to do things differently, that's when I finally was starting to change and finally starting to shift and go, oh, I've been going about this all wrong. There's different ways to do it. You want me to share my biggest insight?
I was just going to ask. I would love to hear it. You got me on the edge of my seat. I think, and even if I can just, for our listeners, one of the things that we talk about running unicorns is how to be better decision makers and how to make decisions. And I just want to highlight how you had this experience that you gave it your all. Use my running analogy. You gave it a full sprint for a long time, and then you needed a break. And sometimes the breaks are chosen, and sometimes they're given to us. But what I love is that you paused and made a very intentional effort to do a study of that sprint you did and the break, and then how to rebuild. So just kind of flagging that. I think that's really cool. Okay, keep going.
Tell us that.
Yeah, tell us what your takeaways were.
Okay. Actually, before I do that, can I tell you some of the things that have been like going through my head? Because obviously I've been well acquainted with stress. Like I found my first gray hair at 19. I was just like, it's okay, we'll color it.
Yeah.
I lost my gallbladder at 32 or something.
Yeah.
Like, so stress and I have been close, but it doesn't mean I understood it.
Yeah.
And when we're stressed out, we tend to get two different types of advice. We tend to get bucket one that I call is do less, which, for me, I'm like,
not really an option.
No. Can you imagine though, like if you're training for a marathon, they're like, oh, this seems pretty hard. You probably should just stop running this week. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. This matters to me. I know I need to run. So any version of do less, whether it's like take a vacation or take a break, I was always just like, are you asking me to care less about this? Because I can't do that. So not going to do that. Right? That was kind of how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
And so instead, if you're like to the point you're super stressed out that you're willing to finally Google it because you want your answer, if you were to Google it, you would get whatever the latest social media trend is for well-being.
Sure.
Which there's a million of them. And they can work, but there's a lot. And that Google search is going to fill in really fast. And then you're going to be extra overwhelmed. And that's besides the point. Like, so bucket two is some version of do more. And if you're already stressed out, then you're like, I'm already at capacity. I can't do more.
Yeah.
So you kind of feel like there's no other option. You just are like, okay, so as I did as an entrepreneur, I was like, okay, so I'm stressed out because I'm an entrepreneur and that's just how it is. And that's part of life.
Yes.
It's not
And
true.
that's when you really hit. I want to flag that too, is that when you feel like you don't have options, that's when you get really stuck.
Oh,
Do
for
more,
sure.
do less. Neither sounds good. There's a bunch of noise out there. And I think the real paralyzing feeling can happen when you do feel like you're out of options. Okay,
Oh, for
so
sure.
help us
Well,
out
and
here.
I love that, because even then, to add to it, I remember once trying to like explain it to someone I very much love who I was asking advice from, and they were like, "Well, you just need to sort out your priorities." And I was like, "So do right? Is there a third option?" Because I was like, "Wait a second, was caring for my mom and my business. Like,
Yes.
I thought I had my priorities right, so that didn't save me either." And
Yeah.
when I was in, this actually leads to one of my favorite insights from my stress class, because I took obviously that one first. And I spent 13 weeks learning basically how I survived, like how I didn't collapse before those 14 months were up. And on the very last week, we were given the answer I'd been looking for. And it was underneath the concept of the dark side of coping.
Okay.
And we read a study by Adam Grant and Barry Schwartz, where they took like the best virtues you can think of, like Aristotle's virtues, the things that we are going to say, no matter what, these are good, like trustworthiness and courage and, these really objectively good things. And they said, okay, what happens if we overdo those things? What does it look like? What if we lean in so hard on these things? Are they still going to keep giving us good things? Because we want to believe the more good things we do, the more rewards we'll receive.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. At best, those virtues, the more you lean into them, are going to give you diminishing returns. And at worst, those good things can be harmful to you. That's when I realized that's what I was doing wrong. I was leaning in because it was good. I assumed it would always be good for me. And I leaned in so hard that I let them become harmful. So the most important thing that I learned at Harvard is you don't have to give your all in order to give your best.
And if you can repeat that one more time, I think that's so powerful. You don't have to give your all to give your best.
Mm-hmm. Because I used to always measure my best as my all. To me, I was like, you're an overachiever. You're obviously a rock star. Duh. Hello. Overachieving's great. But overachieving also means overextending. And that's not a good thing, even if you're overextending for good things, wonderful things, things that matter to you. I like to actually teach this in a way that you're going to love because it fits within the world of sports.
Let's go for it.
If you did sports, you probably had a coach at some point tell you to leave it all on the court or the field. Now, again, I've told you athletic prowess, not necessarily mine, but I did theater. So I understand this very high intensity environment. So it came to me as leave it all on the stage. And if you're in middle school, sure, that advice is fine. You've got like one championship game. And because of a middle school body, like you need a nap and fruit snacks and some water and you'll bounce right back. You'll be fine. Your body's really flexible at that time. But this is bad advice for real life. And if you look at what the pros do, they don't do that.
Yeah.
In fact, I learned from the sports psychologist of the Boston Celtics that if you're in the NBA, you can't leave it all on the court because you have multiple games a week. So true champions are going to pace themselves to give their best, but not their all, so that win or lose, they can pick back up and go again the next game. So we, as those that are not necessarily sitting in that high intensity performance environment all the time, we still need to realize that we got to stop treating life like every day is a championship game. Yeah. There will be moments that you've got to do that. But for the most part, it's the regular season. Yes. So if today's the last game you're going to ever play, go ahead, give your all. But if you've got a game tomorrow and you've got to show up, just give your best. So I call that approach even achieving. It's this idea of I got to get the things done today that need to get done. And I've got to do it in a way that doesn't sacrifice my ability to keep giving my best tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. I think that's so powerful. And I love that your journey brought you to that point and kind of that discovery, because it's so simple in theory, but to really hear that and to implement it and to think about it, it takes some humility, right?
Oh, for sure. It takes getting beaten down a few times.
Yeah. It takes humility and thoughtfulness, because it's kind of fun and flashy to say, oh, leave it all in the court, do it, give it your all. And so the best performers, it's not that exciting. It's consistency.
It is consistency.
It's showing up. And so kind of the running perspective of that, I see social media and see these videos of people sprinting, and I'm like, that is not what we're all doing all the time. Okay, folks, they have the like what my friends think I do and what I'm really doing. And what I'm really doing is just consistently showing up.
Yeah.
And I love that phrase. Okay, one more time for us.
You don't have to give your all in order to give your best.
Yeah, you don't have to give your all to give your best. So powerful. That reminds me of kind of a different take. My dad would always give the advice to build in cushion time just in life.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love that.
It's good. It's good. And I remember there was a season of life when I was doing it all, as us recovering overachievers do.
We know nothing about this.
And I remember him giving me the advice. He said, Kristina, you are amazing and you are human. He said, you need to build in some cushion time because you have not calculated a potential accident. You haven't calculated getting sick. You haven't calculated, something else coming up or whatever else. And he said, you haven't built that in. You have built in a perfect scenario. And thankfully, you're pretty good at doing that, which is really cool. But when that little unknown variable comes into your life, it's going to really be difficult for you. And I remember thinking, like, yeah, good advice, Dad. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. I got it.
and I did have it kind of in the back of my mind, but within a couple of weeks, my aunt passed away, and something else kind of came up. It hit it just as he described, as he anticipated for me. Of it's cool when you're juggling everything, but when that new ball comes in, it's hard, and it's hard to keep the other ones going, and so it kind of forces you to take that break. Like happened to you. You had all the balls going, and then you have the family, and then the business, and then, even things that are outside of your control. And I'm a big fan of doing what's within your control. And even then, there are still things outside your control. And so I think it's just such a powerful reminder. Build in that cushion time, give it your best. You don't have to give it your all. And that actually is a strategy. That's a strategy.
100%.
You performing well. And I think there's some nuance there. So you had this experience, you've done your studies, and so now, what are you focused on now? You've spent that time, and now you're sharing your message, and tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm teaching it. I teach it through keynotes and workshops and some executive coaching because let's be honest, again, like you can hear it, but till you actually sit with it for a minute, you may not be ready. But I like to teach people like what we get wrong about understanding stress because it's not all bad. But you can definitely overdo it, right? And then I love to also say, okay, what do we do to really create this sustainable momentum so that, again, this cushion time doesn't feel like I'm wasting time, that I'm trying to figure out how do I really truly set myself up for the best performance possible and using science to do it.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, the best performance psychology comes from the world of sports. Like, when we study, because I studied organizational psychology, even though we're like, okay, how do we look at leadership and high performance? We're always like, and over to the world of sports. And partly because it's so easy to set up a great experiment to say, okay, how is your psychological state? And then did you meet the time or whatever goal that you had with this sport? Yeah. There's a couple of big things with that I love, including the fact that when we get stressed out, we have physiological reactions. We all know that. A lot of times people just go straight to this idea of fight, freeze, flight, that stuff, right? Your limbic system takes over. Okay, cool. We know that. There's something else, though, from performance psychology that people skip over, and it's what happens with your heart. So when we get into this like high stakes stress moment, our hearts obviously start pumping faster. But they did an experiment and they said, okay, there's some people that in this situation, they perform better with that. Their cardiovascular output increases and they're performing both better on cognitive tasks and physical tasks. But there's same people, or different group of people, but the same triggers, cardiovascular output actually becomes worse. So that feeling of high blood pressure, and they perform worse, both cognitively and physically. So like, okay, what's the difference? You know what the difference is?
No, tell us.
The difference is whether or not you believe you have enough resources to meet your demands.
That's
so
scary.
if
Getting the bars in.
right. Well, that's why, like, okay,
Wow.
if you've trained for a marathon, you've put the time in with running. Hopefully by the time you hit the marathon, you're like, I can do this. I have proven to myself I can do this. I have done all of the work to show myself I can do this. For us, though, if we take it to like the workplace or the home, how does that translate? Well, it comes into how have I treated myself? Am I increasing my capacity by how I'm taking care of my health or my heart or my brain?
Yeah.
Am I giving myself as many resources as possible to perform my best?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I doing what I used to usually do, which was I start cutting out sleep. I'm going for the fast, easy foods. I'm, because I'm stressed out and I'm just thinking about time. I'm forgetting the fact that my body is the biggest resource for getting things done. And if I want to perform my level best, then I have to care for it. And that's different than giving my all, because my all would be like, clear the things, stay focused on this one task, right?
Yeah.
Get it done, all costs, we're going to do it, versus I want to do my best on this. If I want to do my best on this, I have to treat the vehicle to get it done well enough to get me to that destination time and time and time again.
That's money. That's money. And I got to reframe my reaction. Instead of that's scary, that's empowering.
It's okay. It can start scary. Once you embrace it, it feels empowering.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, it is, I think that car example, it's like driving the car is here you've been given this car, and that can feel kind of scary or can feel empowering. And so, but knowing you have the keys either way. So what are you going to do with that? And are you going to take care of the car? Are you going to keep it well oiled? And I know I feel much better before a road trip when I've done a little tune-up, when I got full tank gas, right? And so I think
I'm out in Utah. If you haven't done a tune-up before a road trip, you could be stuck in the desert and not see anyone or any creature for miles.
It is real.
It is. It is.
It is
no
real.
Water, no bathroom. You're done.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh man, you and the buzzards out there. It's
the coyotes.
Yeah. But I think that's really profound. And to your point, even when we know these things, there is something about having a coach, someone who is there with you in the trenches and who loves you. And you can see that. And, my dad was playing that role in that moment. Sometimes we pay someone, sometimes it's a friend, sometimes it's a spouse, sometimes it's a sibling. But there's something about, one, hopefully we can be attuned ourselves and pause and reflect. But there is something really valuable of having kind of that reflection in someone who does have your best interest at heart, and that training to be objective. I mean, it's so much easier to see sometimes things from the outside than the inside. Let's be honest.
So much easier. No, there's not even sometimes. It's usually.
It is. It is. Someone was telling me about I will say a high performing business individual. And even with all their business acumen, they said, are you accounting for your own time and energy? And the person goes, oh my gosh, I haven't really counted for that.
No.
And here, and so it's just, it's so easy to know the things, but to do it is a lot harder. So kind of pivoting, taking, part of our conversation here of, giving our best, maybe not necessarily the all, we don't have to do that. One of the things we talk about running unicorns is opening hearts, minds, doors, and wallets. So what do you hope listeners would be open to? It can be one or all, but thinking about the message of how to be a champion in our everyday and giving our best, what would you hope people be open to?
How we open your mind for this one, because especially as achievers, we tend to be very high critical thinking skills. We're really good at getting things done. We're really good at being problem solvers.
Yeah.
And so realizing that perhaps we've put some blinders on to our best tools for sustainable high performance, I would want you to be able to think about it a little bit differently. Really trying to say, if I could get you to embrace, hey, I don't have to give my all to give my best, I'm going to be happy. Because I believe that high achievers are ones that are going to save the world. But not if we're so burnt out that we can't get up. So we have to be able to find those ways to make those connections. I would love to, for a minute, if you're okay with it, I'd love to talk about kind of some of the things like why we talk ourselves out of being willing, because we all talk ourselves into overextending regularly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's go through this together. What are some of the things that you tell yourself, like, I have to overextend because, what would you say?
I think, one thing, I'll share this. One thing that I've been thinking about lately. So I am a new parent, and I think this is a timely conversation because I am now having to figure out new systems. I used to kind of get away with what you're describing. If I had to, I could work a little extra. I could, work till 10 on a Friday, whatever it is. And I could wake up at the crack of dawn. I'd fall asleep with my laptop if I had to. I could do all that. I'm now at a stage. I can't get away with some of those things before, that I used to. And so I now am in a place where I'm thinking the old things that may not, I did try to be cognizant of my health and, hydrate, right?
Got your water.
But I kind of could get away with some things that were probably, again, kind of an overdrive, maybe. Hence my father's wonderful advice to, to think differently. But now I'm in the place where even those old tools that I relied on that I could kind of get away with, I can't access those in the way that I used to. Some of the traits, the drive is there, the grit is there, but I kind of joke, and this is with love, I kind of joke, choosing to be a parent is the most inefficient decision.
Oh, for sure. Oh my gosh.
And that's not bad. It's just, it is an inefficiency. And I have built a very efficient life. So I don't know what you want to do with that.
Oh no, I love
it. That's kind of where my mindset has been is I'm kind of having to figure out what tools I can still use and then trying to find new tools that I like. And then how do I get those to work together? So I'm kind of trying to rebuild my toolbox, Erika. That's where I am right now. But yeah, what do you do with someone like me?
Oh, we've got lots of thoughts. First, I want to bring in some research because to me, what you've brought up totally connects right into this. And I was trying to figure out, so there's some research that can help us understand this, and then we can take our insights from it and actually apply it. So with this one, we're thinking about some Harvard Business School researchers in the world of negotiation.
Okay.
And they are wondering why it is that sometimes people are willing to pay more for a deal than that deal is worth. Happens often. Businesses don't like it, right? If you've overpaid on the price of whatever software you're trying to buy, it's not going to go well. So they're trying to figure out what happens to make this happen. They did a bunch of case studies. They put together an experiment, and they found out if there are 4 factors present, you're going to be twice as likely to spend more on whatever negotiation you're trying to get than it's worth.
Okay.
So 3 of those 4 factors are going to be part of your life. I apologize, no matter what. Those first one is a spotlight. You have a child that needs you.
Yeah.
Ta-dum, they're watching you. You can't step away from that. You also have work responsibilities, bosses, managers, we've got partners. We've got all of those different things. People are watching us and need us. Yeah. So no matter what, spotlight, factor number 1, check. Factor number 2 is a deadline. And I love that you mentioned, you're like, I used to be able to go till 10 o'clock to, I'm assuming, hit a deadline. Right now, you've got a different type of deadline. I have to pick up my child from daycare before they close, or I get in big, big trouble, right? You have a new deadline. So no matter what, you're going to be eking your way towards that. The last one's a time investment, which I've also heard. This is the idea, the more we put in time and care towards something, the less likely we're going to walk away, even if walking away is the more rational choice. So for you, you're like, but I've invested in my career and now I've had to pivot and rebuild these systems. You still want to hang on to old systems, but you also know you have new systems, right? So you have 3 of these 4 things no matter what in your life. But the 4th thing is the thing that really will tip you over the edge or not. And the 4th thing is the presence of a single rival. Now, if you're like, okay, it's fine, I don't have a nemesis. Cool. You can be your own rival.
Yeah, I believe that. Okay.
And as an overachiever, we most likely are our own rival. We're the one that's saying, I have to have this done by XYZ time, or I have to have it done at this high quality, or I don't need to sleep that much. I just am going to push forward and keep doing it. Every time, my way of signaling to myself that I was making myself my own rival was usually, it's fine, I'm fine, it'll be fine. That was me telling my body, I don't care about you. I'm just going to push forward. And so every time that we kind of tell our body, our brain that, hey, yourself is the thing that's in the way here, you've just set up a competition of rivalry. When really, you need to be a team with your body to be able to get stuff done. And my idea with that is you say, okay, instead of being your own rival, this is where you learn to be your own champion and be a champion like how my mom championed others.
I love it.
So can I give you a story for how my mom would show up as a champion?
Yes, I love it. I'm here for it. Please do.
Okay, awesome. So my mom, as I mentioned, national collegiate racquetball champion, really fun to watch on the court, but she was an even better coach. And if you were lucky enough to get her as your coach, this is what it'd look like. She'd be like, come on to the court. Let's go play a game. You start playing a game, and in the beginning, you feel amazing. Like you're hitting all the right shots. She's calling out absolutely everything that you're doing right. You're like, yeah, that was a good shot. You're feeling good. And then the second half of the game starts. And you realize very quickly, she was just learning and matching how you play. Because now she knows exactly where your blind spots are. And she's going to prove it to you. So for the second half of the game, she's like smacking the ball. And you're like, missed that one. Oh, try this one here. You're going to have to fix your backhand there. Oh, move your elbow up here.
Oh my gosh.
If you could handle that, you would walk away from that game a better player, period, no matter what. So she exhibited 3 traits that all champion of champions exhibited. 1, she exhibited that you have to cheer for whatever you do right. You got to cheer incessantly for it. If you're an overachiever, we stink at this. We tend to be like, okay, I got it done. Check, deep breath. I'm relieved. Move on. Instead of, that was good. But the reason that you need to cheer is because your drive and motivation need constant feeding. So you need to tell your brain, this was worthwhile. I liked this. Let's do it again. And you do that easiest through some form of a celebration. It doesn't have to be big. It could be a happy dance. Just do something to tell your brain, let's do it again. The second thing that my mom would do is she'd provide skills and resources when it's appropriate. So for her, that was usually her knowledge of the game. This is where I'm saying with your own body, I have to make sure I'm supplying my body with the skills and resources it needs to perform at its best, period. So a way to think of this is self-care is not something, not something to be earned. It's super cliche. But a lot of times we're like, oh, it's a luxury. It comes after the fact. Self-care is how you prepare. Self-care is how you prepare for high performance. And it's not bubble baths and candles. No, it's eating healthy, sleeping well, getting in daily movement, feeding your brain and your heart and your mind. Like, those are the things that we want to think of for providing ourselves with skills and resources. And the last pit, you were bringing it up. Your dad did this to you. A good coach does this to you. The last piece is they're going to call you out when you start going the wrong direction. So yes, get other people who can see it because we're really, really bad at seeing it ourselves. But we can also build in tools to help us catch ourselves before we've gone too far. Because with even achieving, the hardest part of it is figuring out when you started to tip too far, either into overextension or not growing and stretching enough. We can try to sit in this comfortable spot too long too. So how do I find out when I'm in that sustainable, high-performing place? And so what I've done with that, I've built in my own couple of questions that I ask myself regularly because I don't want success to come at the cost of my health and my relationships anymore. I've done that. I've paid that price. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to overbid on that success anymore.
So what do you ask?
I have 2 questions. So to give it context, if you want to take better care of your personal health, you've got to learn how to check in on your pace. Pace days matter. And then if you want to learn how to take better care of your social health, that's when we check in on our presence. So the question I ask myself for pace, I look at a project, or it could be like, here's this week, care what it is. You have to have a deadline because that makes it easier. And I say, okay, if I continue at this pace, when I'm done, will I have enough energy left to celebrate? I don't want to drag myself across the finish line because then I can't run again tomorrow. Will I have enough energy left to celebrate? If I'm not, I already know I'm pushing too hard. I'm training too hard. I'm going to get an injury. So, and if I don't want to celebrate, I have a motivation issue. And then I can go digging into that where I can say, okay, I haven't connected to this enough in a way to tell my brain I want to keep doing this.
I think that's a really interesting insight because I feel like I see this show up and probably a lot on social media where people seem to want to chase something they don't actually want.
Sure.
People do things they don't actually want because it seems like they should. And I think that's a really interesting reflection invitation is why don't I want to celebrate this?
Yeah, misalignment of values in there. That's a great, what my one professor would call it, an emotional green flag.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I think I think there's a lot of power in that because, I mean, I do believe there are things we do because you got to do it. Sometimes you just got to brush your teeth. That's part of the maintenance. But even that, it kind of feels good to have clean teeth.
Yeah, if it felt good that day, own it. Don't be like, oh, that's silly. No, I have clean teeth. We used to have a song growing up that we would sing. So, I mean.
I love it. It feels good to talk to someone and feel like you can confidently engage with them without.
Exactly. I would rather not you be afraid of my breath right now. Let's go.
Yeah. It seems like a silly thing, but when we say maintenance, those are the things. And that's again, kind of an everyday silly example, but it actually is a powerful example of the rest of the maintenance, of the mental maintenance and that pacing. And I think, again, going to my running language, that's a really undervalued concept, I think, is these just kind of maintenance days, is what we call it in the distance training, is, it's intentionally slow. It's just it's getting in the miles, it's getting the time, that's showing up. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, but it's the thing we do. But even then,
you work on form and you work on. My little sister was telling me about that. She's like, I actually don't love running marathons, but I love training for them. And she was telling me about your slow days. She's like, they're the hardest of all of them.
Yeah,
because you're purposefully running slower than you want to. It's not even your like paced out day where you're like, this is gonna be my regular pacing. I'm purposefully running slow. She's like, it's hard. It's much harder than your fast days.
Yeah. And it helps build that foundation so that when you do need to tap into the reserves, you have that and your body has that foundation. And I think kind of translating that to leadership and other areas of performance, again, whether it's in sport or in life, when you have that foundation, then you can tap into that ability to pace. And I think it's such a profound thought. It seems so simple, but it's also so hard to nail in the moment. And I remember, this is a silly, again, maybe not silly, but kind of a different example. I go back to my dad. I remember him talking about, I grew up in Ohio, a lot of bad snow, a lot of bad, winters. And I remember he would say, when you are in the moment of when you are in a treacherous situation driving, try to take a deep breath and pause. Just try to whatever you can to be aware of your surroundings, because a lot of people, that fight or flight hits so fast. And he said, if you have any ability to just be aware, that can really save your life. And I remember I had a situation, I was driving down the road and sure enough, it was icy and the car was spinning around. And I remember thinking, take a deep breath and figure out what I'm doing here. And I was facing head on traffic, but I stopped the car and I was in a safe place and I was able to get out of that situation. But I could hear his little voice in the back of my head, and just saying, pause, even in this intense, very fast moment. And there's something where time can almost kind of stop.
Oh, for sure.
But you can't do it if you haven't prepared for that moment. And I think, what the takeaway is here is, how do we prepare for that? How do we mentally train? So when the moment happens, when we're slipping on the ice, when you're in that meeting, when you're about to shoot that shot, how do you make time stop? And be ready for that moment. I love that. I love it, Erika.
I love it. Well, because you've also hit on two principles that we've brought up that are so important. Like, one, I can try to prevent pacing and plan for it and whatnot. Yeah. But if I also get into that clutch moment, like this is make or break, I need to also have trust that I have enough resources to meet my demand. I have put the time in. I have built it up where you can say, yeah, I'm going to get the 3-point shot here. Instead of, I'm going to choke and everyone's going to be mad at me for the rest of the game, right? So it is that moment to say, if I put in that pacing time, those maintenance days, I am preparing to be clutch when it counts. And I want to be. That's the championship game that I want to be at my best for. So I love that. I love it.
Oh, amen. Amen. I well, a fun kind of full circle. And I'm just so delighted we've been able to have this conversation. And I'll let people know where to find you more. But with that, one of the questions I like to ask my guests is, what are you running from, or what keeps you running? We've talked kind of about running out of steam.
I know exactly what keeps me running.
So we don't want to do that. But kind of, taking our conversation and that champion mindset, that what are you in the present day? What are you thinking about? What are you running from, or running for?
I love that question, because I think for a long time I was just running without realizing where where I was letting busyness be what I thought was purposefulness. Because it was, I was busy. I was very busy. I had lots of great accolades to prove that I was busy. But it was kind of this, am I busy for busy's sake? Or am I busy because I'm chasing something meaning fulfilling? And sometimes I did, and a lot of times I didn't. Because the process was the same for both, and I didn't always check in on my intention. So I think that for me now, there was a concept we learned in several of my classes. It's an old Greek word called eudaimonia. It's basically the opposite of hedonism. So hedonism is the pursuit of pleasure for pleasure's sake. I want to feel good, which we hear a lot of, by the way, right now. I just want to do whatever feels good. It's not a sustainable way to live. It's actually one of the fastest way to languishing. So I have learned about eudaimonia, which one of the best translations of it is to pursue a life well lived. And so I am trying to run my best towards a life well lived, one in which I am still being as ambitious as I want. I don't want to be ashamed of the fact that I love doing hard things well. Like I love doing it, and I want to keep doing that. I also don't want it to come at the cost of my health and relationships anymore. And so the life well lived is teaching me also to find a lot of gratification in things that before I was too busy to notice. So I've spent a lot more time, for instance, outside, just being outside in the sunshine. I have spent more time with my family present, which is actually that second question I have. If I need to be better at taking care of my presence, how do I do that? And as someone who has an affinity towards chasing fun things, it's way too often that I can be sitting next to my husband on the couch and I'm not really there. I'm not. I'm still thinking about the emails I sent earlier today and the proposal I'm hoping is getting accepted. And, my brain is everywhere but there.
Shame. Guilty.
And so I have set it up with my husband where every 30 days or so, about once a month, I ask him, have I been present enough for you? Because I want him to be in my life next year and the year after and after that and after that. And I know if I'm not careful, we could easily drift apart because I'm busy.
Yeah.
And I don't want busy to be what I'm running towards. So I'm running away from busy, running towards being grounded and intentional while still doing all those really big things that I like the most.
I love it. I think that's so powerful, Erika. Thank you for sharing that. And even just that invitation to pause and reflect, that it is those little tune-ups. It's those little pauses, that every 30 day, that pacing, and even pacing the feedback. Let's be honest. Sometimes I'm like, don't check the oven right now. Not a good time. But I think it's such a powerful way of positioning it, of running from busy, running to purpose, and inviting your loved ones to be a part of that. Yeah. And it's a very vulnerable, humble thing to do, but it's, life is a team sport. And
exactly. I was going to say, I don't want to run a marathon and have nobody cheering with me at the finish line.
Yeah.
Like I would much rather have the people I love there alongside me as we get it done.
So they're going to be there with you. You got to keep that communication.
You got to invest in them.
Oh, well, Erika, I just am so grateful we've got to have the time today. And I feel like we might have to do a part 2 at some point.
For sure. I could tell you about how stress is like a muscle. We could go so long for so often. So
I love it. Well, we'll definitely have to have Erika back here. But in the meantime, where can people find you? So if they're, where are you? What's your site? Yep. Where can they find you?
My website is Erika Coleman Speaks. You can check things out. I do have a TED Talk that is set to go live any day now. As soon as it does, I will link it to erikastedtalk.com, and that's Erika with a K. But you can find me on LinkedIn too. I write every week. I'm always bringing in the science and the stories. But I also have a call if you're on a high-performing team or you're a leader of a high-performing team. I do have a self-assessment you can take to see, is my team genuinely high-performing, or are we like sneakily kind of going over towards burnout here? So if you want to take that free self-assessment, that is at balanceyourteam.com, and I'd be happy to go through that with you anytime.
I love it. I think it's those check-ins. It's those little assessments that keep us, again, just little tune-ups. My dad would always say, you don't have to be sick to get better. So I think that's where it's easy to get comfortable. And Erika will help you get a little uncomfortable to get more comfortable, right?
Oh, yeah. The good kind of comfort, like when you're working out and you're getting good workout in, you're going to be tired later, but it was worth it because you're growing.
I'm seeing your mom now. I'm seeing your mom. I'm seeing your mom finding the points to cheer and then finding the points to.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you're so strong. Now put it down.
Oh my gosh. Well, Erika, you are a champion, and I'm so grateful that we were able to have this time. And for our Running Unicorns, check everything out in the show notes. It'll all be there. Thanks for running with us.
That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us. And now it's your turn. We invite you to continue the conversation and run with it to your circles of influence. From the boardroom to the kitchen table, share how sport and play can connect, unite us, and ultimately be a positive impact in our communities. Life is short, and we're so grateful you spent this precious time with us. Go outside, go for a walk, sign up for that 5K, get tickets to something, get sweaty, and have fun. We hope you'll be back soon. And in the meantime, join us on Strava, social media, or visit runningunicorns.com to learn more. Thanks so much for being here. And until next time, keep running. If you had a good time today, tell us in the comments what you enjoyed and what you hope to hear more of. You're also welcome to reach us via email, team@runningunicorns.com, with a message or voice note. This has been a production of Southtown Communications.